place today. I'm here with Joy. Joy. I mean, thank you for accepting to be part of this.
Of course.
Of the body issue for Panocha Zine. We are doing this kind of like quick workout because we're gonna need to edit this, but it's fine. It's fine. Anyways, I've been doing yoga with you since 2019. We were just talking about it.
Yes.
It was kind of like one of those like serendipitous days where I just kind of like I was googling like, oh, I need to find somebody who does like health at any size type of exercise. Like I wanted to go back to working out or like getting back to movement because I had been kind of like just neglecting it. Like during the like between like 2017 and 2019, I was completely neglecting my body. I was more focused on kind of like the mental side of healing like my eating disorders and my body dysmorphia. So I was more focused on the mental side of it. And it took me, and it's still kind of hard for me to kind of like jump into like working out. Like I get very competitive with myself, and if I'm not doing something right, I'm immediately like, no. But I wanted to start with like something slow, something that I could like get me back into movement. And I was just kind of like Googling and I couldn't find anything, and then I just got on my phone and I was just scrolling and I saw one of your posts. I don't remember what it was. I had been following you for a while, but I saw your post and I was like, it's always been there. It's been in front of you.
It was right there in front of you.
And that's kind of what I messaged you like, hey, have room for me.
Yes.
And that's kind of what I started, and like that's basically like your practice is more focused on body diversity and ability diversity. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So a good like it'll be 2010 was when a drunk driver drove into my bedroom and crushed me. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I ever told you that.
Surprise!
Everybody now knows. So, and then what happened was I didn't walk for a year. Mm-hmm. And then when I got myself to being in a place of just like, okay, I can slowly like make some movements and get out of the house because I was struggling with PTSD. A yoga teacher was just like, Joy, just come to yoga. Mm-hmm. And the one thing was, it was funny, was like, I was just like, woman, I can barely walk and you have to walk upstairs to get to her place. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go back to doing yoga again. And then just that one class, I was able to sleep for 2 hours. And I hadn't been able to sleep ever since the accident. I was like barely like 30 minutes here or there. I was struggling with sleeping. And then the next thing I was like, all I could really do was just once a week. Mm-hmm. And the next thing you know, it just like things started changing. So for me, like that experience of, from what I knew, like since I was 6 years old, I was doing yoga. It was always like, it was like a fitness, like you just keep doing this. And then when I had this experience and I started just practicing once a week, I was just like, nobody ever said this was an option. Mm-hmm. And I never even thought to myself of, is this even
yoga?
Yeah, is this even yoga? Is this even an option? And then because I couldn't walk, I had to sit there and modify everything. And that was something that no teacher has ever told me that I could do. It was never an option. Couldn't even use props or anything like that. And then next thing I know is, even with the practices, it wasn't geared towards, like, say for me, like I couldn't walk. Like I have to be careful about my hips. They were still telling me go do handstands, and I'm like, if I do that, I might not be able to get back down. So who's that? Because that's what happened when I had the car accident. Because everybody was telling me it wasn't a big deal, I was like, okay, it's not a big deal. And I was just like, I'm going back to yoga because it's what helps me. And the next thing I know, I went and did a handstand, and I was embarrassed, but also mortified because it was like the class was full. Next thing you know, I couldn't feel my hips and legs. and then they had to call EMS for me because I was just like, I couldn't do anything. And then I felt bad because, you know, everybody was there for their practice and I just kind of like took it away. But also at the same time, I was more like, oh my God, I cannot walk. I was just like, okay. So, and then next thing I know, you know, before I never paid attention to like body acceptance, or I've been just so used to people being judgmental that I never realized like how bad it was.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, it's like whenever I'd go to class, that's when I started paying attention to like, you know, people pointing things out, and I'm just like this. I was like this. And then I was noticing that, and then like somebody like, for instance, I was noticing how a lot of students would come in and they're wanting to practice, nothing's being offered to them as modifications. And even like a teacher, like she noticed like, oh, the student was struggling with something and just gave her a block, but didn't tell her like, this is what you could do with this. And I was just like, so I was cursing a lot, but I was just like, so, and I would sit there at times, like if they asked for it, you know, I try to, even though I didn't need the modification, I would just show, like do it myself, because, you know, we do pay attention to each other, even though they say, we don't pay attention. I would do the modification myself, so that way they could see it.
Yeah. And
then I would be like, I just do the modified version for them. Like it wasn't taken away from my practice, because if anything, I was just like, I'm learning, like, what do I do, you know, to help somebody else, and even for myself. So, and then next thing I know, it was just, I had no intentions of being a yoga instructor. It was just when I got myself walking again, that's when I found my teacher. And then I was just like, okay, I did her teacher training because that's what she was offering. And then next thing I know, people were just asking me, Joy, can you show me yoga for where I need it? And I was like, not a problem. Like, I know what this is about. And then it just became that. And everybody that came in, what I loved was everybody that came in, everybody had something. So I was able to be like, this is what you could do, this is what you could do. And it was teaching me. Everybody was teaching me of what they needed and what I had to think of to allow them to have their practice. And I think that's the big missing thing, is like, this isn't exclusive, you know, to a certain type. This is for everybody. But it wasn't being allowed for everybody to practice. And a lot of people that would come to me would sit there and say, I didn't think I could do this. I was like, why couldn't you? This is like,
because there's like that misconception, and especially like, I feel like especially with like yoga being a space that became this skinny white lady space.
Yes.
And a lot of people, as a lot of people of different shapes, sizes, colors, they started kind of like how do, this is all I see. I need to morph my body, not just kind of like physically, but like movement wise, to fit what these skinny women are doing. Instead of like, no, my body can, and what I have learned with you in the past, it's gonna be what, 3 years, 4 years?
Yeah.
That I've been practicing with you, it's that my body can do certain things.
Yes.
If I accept what my body can do.
Yes.
So if like I'm doing kind of like, if I'm doing kind of like a body twist that we were doing this morning.
Yes.
And I was like, my leg doesn't go all the way over there because
Yes.
there's like my belly on the way. And I was like, okay, maybe I can put something under so I can kind of have that better twist.
Yes.
Or like if I'm kind of like doing like if I'm like kind of like doing kind of like a forward fold, it's like, oh, let me just move a little bit so like it can accommodate to my body.
Yes.
And the movement becomes my body movement instead of me trying to be just something that I'm not.
Yes.
I'm trying to fit in spaces that I can't fit.
Right. No, who's that? And that's my thing, is just like focus on you and let's see you move in the way that your body is needing it, rather than feeling like, because everybody wants to. The one thing that I see a lot is when somebody's been looking at other people doing yoga, especially like yoga pictures, because they will mimic that pose, and then I'm like, go back here. Because it's not to say you cannot do that, but the thing is, especially if your body's not ready for it, you will actually create more havoc for yourself, rather than be like, okay, I need to come back here. Because a lot of people, everybody has their own flexibility of where they can go and where they can't go. So a lot of people, like say if you're like hypermobile, you will go a lot more because you don't know what it's like to go a little bit less. You will just know how to go further because that's your body's ability to go do more. And they're actually a lot harder to teach because you're trying to get them, don't go for the more. Don't go for the more, go for just right here is good enough. But compared to somebody who doesn't have that flexibility, they know because they're like, oh, I can't go that much.
Yeah.
I'll go back here. So yeah.
Yeah, and also kind of like whenever just one of the things that I really enjoy practicing with you is just kind of like I have that permission to listen when my body's like, fuck that, you're good.
Bitch, you're crazy.
And I feel like from years and years and years of toxic working out, everybody just kind of like push your body harder and harder and harder, and it just kind of like that's kind of where a lot of my injuries came from are from pushing my body harder than it could. Right. Instead of just kind of like, okay, if you can't do anymore, like you're like, okay, put your feet down if you're getting tired, or like you can rest if your body's kind of giving in, like. But at the same time, there's also that push when you like know that like I know you can go, I know you can do it better than that, I know you can hold it longer than that, and that kind of like little challenges have helped me just kind of like, oh, my body can do certain things that I was kind of like even afraid to do. Yeah. Like recently when I had this my knee injury, you were very kind to like during all the practices, like, Carmen, you're gonna do this, you're gonna modify it like this, like you can't do that, do it like this. And that was monumental to the healing of my knee. Yeah. Where like I know that I can still participate in movement, without having to risk my body getting injured. Yes. And that's the thing that I tell people, it's not gonna look like what other people are doing. It's going to look different, but that's just what you need right now. I mean, it might be your only option, but and maybe later on until you heal, if it's something that needs to be healed, that hey, we could grow into something more, but it doesn't mean this is wrong. Like I think that's the thing that people feel like there's only one way or no way at all. And then I always tell people like, I know for me, like we make chicken adobo. Yeah. But then I've got 5 other friends that make chicken adobo, and all of us are doing it differently. Yeah. And they all taste differently, but we all call it chicken adobo. Yeah. And we all eat it. And we all eat it. And how dare you say this? Joy, that's not chicken. It is. Let my chicken adobo be. Don't touch it. Well, so that's the story that we have. This is why we move. And I really wanted to share with people the experience that it is to have a kind of movement that it's healing, not just kind of like, oh, it's healing my body and like now I can reach a little bit further, or like, oh, now I can bend a little bit more, but more on the side like whenever we have class, we're laughing the whole way through. And that's very important for healing. Like, yes. I feel like it was kind of like a couple of weeks ago that I kind of like went back, and like the entire time we were laughing, and I was just kind of like, this is healing. Like the laughter, the energy, the welcoming, that you're like very welcoming to like everybody that joins your class. It's very like, and like I know that like Dawn does better than I do, but like she like gets tired faster than I do, and it's just kind of like an acceptance of like where you are at with your body. Yes. Because you are able to see how other people also are kind of like struggling with theirs, but also being powerful with theirs. Yes. So it's so nice to have a space in where we can just kind of like let our bodies be and just move, and still keeping them healthy and keeping them strong, keeping them doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. Yeah, no, and my whole thing is I want you to exist. Like I don't want you being denied of anything, all because somebody said that you can't. Yeah. Right? So with that said, we're gonna exist in this room. I think she's been procrastinating. I have been procrastinating. But we can get started.
To be fair, she did practice this morning.
I'm still a little bit sore. Tomorrow's gonna be interesting.
Even when it's a gentle practice, it's still a strong practice.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like I don't like. Sometimes I'm just kind of like, is this even like? And then the next day I'm like, oh my god, I didn't know I had these muscles. And like it goes to show that like any movement that you do with your body,
Yes,
it really helps with your movement, with your the state of your body. Is not, you don't need to go all hard.
yeah, no, I mean, you really don't. I always try to sneak, I try to sneak
Yeah.
something in. And then I create the sequences to let you guys be happy, and then after that's like, okay, my turn.
And now you suffer.
My turn.
So now we're gonna suffer.
She will not be.
So we're gonna start sitting, right?
Yes, you're gonna start off seated.
Let's see how this goes. And every time I sit, I always sit like this, and I'm like, why do I choose to sit like the most uncomfortable way possible? But anyway.
And I always give the option, sit whatever is comfortable for you.
Yeah.
Sit whatever is comfortable for you. Sometimes we are the drama.
Am I the drama? I was telling my friend, I think I'm the drama. Okay, start sitting down.
So you're just gonna sit, right? Just normal sitting. Normal breathing. Inhale here. Exhale, let it go. Keeping your right knee bent, left leg, let it go out. Okay. And then slowly from here, you're just going to do a side bend to the left. There you go.
That's the area that's sore from this morning.
And that's what we're gonna work on. It's funny that you say that. I was like, we're gonna remedy that really quick. Inhale here. Exhale, come back to the center. Switch legs. Side bend to the right. There you go.
And then it's also like accepting what parts of your body, because like I feel like one side is more flexible than the other. And you're like, on one side I'm all flexible, ballerina, and the other side I'm like, oh.
Yeah. So I tell people, you are a whole world yet to be explored.
You explored the pain.
I was like, I just want a reminder. Inhale here. Exhale, come back to the center. You're gonna take your hands behind you. You're gonna let your knees bend in front of you. And then as you inhale, let your knees fall to one side. Exhale, let your knees fall to the other side. Then now you can have your feet together in Baddha Konasana, right? And then if you want, you can let it go out further, right? And then just let yourself fold. And then slowly from here, come up. This is where we go into a downward facing dog. However that's gonna look like for you.
I feel like my downward facing dog is getting a little bit better.
Yeah?
Because I'm being able to lower this a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A little bit better. You've always been good at it. Widen out your feet just a little bit. All right, ready? We're gonna open up our hips. So right leg, take it up to the sky. Right. There you go. Bend that knee. There you go. Taking it. There you go. Inhale. Exhale. Take it down. Other side. Oh, just to let you know, this floor is wobbly. Sorry. Left leg. Take it up. There you go. Bend it. There you go. Nice. Inhale. Exhale, take it down. And then slowly from here, you're gonna go walk your feet to your hands or your hands to your feet. And then coming to that forward fold. Grab your forearm and elbows.
And this is the kind of place where you like, okay, let me adjust my belly.
Yes. You know, that's the funniest thing is like people don't like to touch their belly. And I'm like, you need to so you can move. All you have to do, all I tell people is like, all you have to do is just move it around. And then you'll get into places a lot better. Relax your neck.
I just heard it pop.
Mm-hmm. Let your arms go. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Arms all the way up to the sky, look up. There you go. Stay here for a moment. Exhale, let your arms come down. Finding yourself to be stable at your feet. You're gonna take your arms overhead and grab your forearm and elbows. Mm-hmm. Take notice of how much freedom there is in your neck. You're doing good. Ready? Side bend. All of a sudden, we got serious. Inhale. I can't breathe. Exhale. Come back to the center. Ready? Joy, that's called no air. Side bend to your right.
I think that's one of the things that like we sometimes say, like when I'm doing yoga, I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be breathing.
Don't forget. Inhale. Exhale, come back to the center. Let your arms go. So this one you might want to use a wall to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Because all we are doing is with our knee, you're gonna take it forward, right? You're gonna take your right foot out, and then you're gonna bring it around, right?
Yeah.
And then in the wall, and then take it forward again, and then take it down. There you go. Yep, there you go. Yep. Let your knee point down now, and then bring it forward. Nice. Doing it again. Yep. And then take it forward. One more. And then take it forward. Right? And then you're gonna hold on to your knee. There you go. And then let it come down. Other side. The other side. All right, so let's do warrior two. So right leg step back. There you go. Arms up. Yep. And then slowly from here, reverse warrior.
I'm so sore from this area. I just got like,
Joy's making it do more.
you can't do it.
Then your left arm, let it go on your left thigh. And then just gonna go in circles. There you go. When you're ready, come up.
The word.
Yeah. And then step forward. Left leg, step back. Are you sweating?
A little bit.
Warrior two. There you go. Chair pose.
Oh, the chair pose.
Chair pose. Like this alone. Whenever somebody says, Joy, can we work on our legs and our butt? Yeah, we can.
And then if you're seeing it from outside, like, if you're just like looking at pictures of people like being all like, oh, let me show you this chair pose.
Yeah.
Girl, it's hard.
It is hard, right? It looks like it could be easy until you're in it.
Yes, and you're just kind of like, oh, never mind, this hurts.
And then I keep telling you, bring your legs together, step your feet together.
Yes, and you're just kind of,
Inhale, exhale, forward fold. Let yourself just hang. Tops of your head pointing down to the floor. Left leg step back. Come into a downward facing dog. Slowly from here, come down to seated.
That last dog was like not as nice as the first one.
All right, ready?
Yes.
So slowly from here, just coming to seated. Any way you want to. Keeping your legs the way they are. We're gonna pinwheel our knees to where it's going to the right. So your left leg, you're gonna want that to go the other way.
Back.
How is that for you? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So far.
I know, that's what's just like, hey, are we okay? That's all we're doing. We're just finding ourselves here. That's the thing too, is like when people think about yoga, they think of Cirque du Soleil.
They think of people like doing like those weird, like the crow, or like doing like the
Yeah.
one with your legs behind your head.
Yes.
And you're like, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, no. And those are the things I had to make peace with.
Just kind of like making peace with what your body can do.
Yeah.
And I still accept it as movement.
Exactly.
Like it's not a failure.
Exactly. Exactly.
I was gonna say maybe I look cool right now, but I'm struggling.
Inhale. Exhale, come back to the center. Switch.
And like it gets you to know your body, where like I know that certain parts of my body don't go as far
Yeah.
as others.
Yes.
And that's okay.
And that, it really, you know, it really is. You're still part of the club.
You're still stretching.
And I always remind myself when people point things out like that, like, oh, you can't do this, or oh, you're not doing that right, that has more to do with, you know, them needing to be more superior, right? But then it's funny because the things that they say that you can't do, there's things that you can do, and they're just like struggling in it.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, we'll see.
And then that's the thing, like everyone struggles just because they like manage to look better.
Exactly. It's like nobody is that perfect.
Yeah.
Even with somebody who feels like they're perfect, we know that's a trauma response. We know that there was a father that they didn't get attention from, so they're being real perfect about it. Love me now.
Look at me now.
Look at me now. Look what I'm doing, Dad.
Look what I'm capable of.
I can't do anything.
That's so mean. We're like, you have daddy issues. You're so good.
Oh my jeez. We're all in this together.
We're all suffering through this.
Exactly. We're all suffering differently, that's all. Inhale, exhale, twist to the left. But it's not a competition. I'm all about, I want to enjoy my life for however long I've got it.
Yeah, and I think that that's the problem a lot with like movement, is that everybody, I think it's just kind of like the capitalist world of always wanting to be better than anybody else.
Yeah.
So this kind of like competition.
Yes.
Everything became a competition.
Yes.
So it doesn't need to be.
It doesn't. It was never supposed to be. But it seems like it's like kind of, our way of like, I'm better than you no matter what.
Yeah. I think it's our way of just kind of like justifying when you spend so much at like your math.
Yes.
Like, look at what I can do.
No, it really is. And I'm just like, good for you, kiddo. Ready? Come back to the center. And then you're going to go widen out your legs. And then you're going to fold. You ready?
Yes.
Slowly from here, roll all the way onto your back. Here you're going to have your knees bent. You're going to go and grab your forearm and elbows and take it behind your back. And then from here, you're going to inhale, let your knees fold to one side. Exhale, let your knees fold to the other side. All right, coming back to the center. Now you're gonna go lift, you let your arms come alongside, you're gonna lift your hips up. I have a block right here. Yes?
Yes.
All right. And then just stay here. Slowly from here, now it's going to be your arms. Keeping yourself the way you are. Now you're just going to take it overhead, parallel to your ears. Exhale, bringing it back alongside you. Keep going.
And you know what, like even doing it once a week, it shows you your mobility, like what you're able to do. So
Yeah.
like in your everyday life, you're like, oh, I know I can like bend over and reach for that because I did it in yoga.
Exactly.
So you're not limiting yourself for fear of not knowing if you can move or not that way.
Exactly. And then allow your arms to just come alongside you. All right, and then slowly you're gonna lift your hips up and then move the block off to the side. The nice thing, and then let your hips come down. And the nice thing in having your practice, it's also teaching you to have boundaries, right? Of just like, what you can, what you can't. And even with that, it's like even when you go and practice, no, I cannot do it in that way. And I'm okay with doing this. So when you go off the mat and off into the world doing your things, if somebody's asking you to bend your knees, kneel down, help your sister with her shoe.
I was like, Let me bring my brother. He's gonna do this one. I'll do the other one.
Anything for her sleeve, like anything there on her shoulders.
Her neck. Like you can fix her necklace. I'm like, okay. But yeah, it helps you like advocate for yourself. Because,
Yes.
like my knee can't do that right now.
Yes.
Give it a month.
All right, so slowly from here, now you're just gonna go and allow your legs to fold to the left. And then right arm, take it overhead. Turn your head to the right. Yeah, no, I always remind people like, this is teaching you about your boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it seems like it's not, it is. It's a constant reminder.
Yeah, especially because I feel like our bodies, especially as women, are constantly being violated.
Yes.
And our boundaries are constantly being put like in like with people just kind of like getting in your way or like obstructing you or like expecting you to do things, and you're just kind of like, no, like I know that my body doesn't like the feeling of you being so close to me. Please move back
Yes.
before I punch you. It'll be my body reacting. I'm sorry.
It's like, I'm sorry, it was a reflex. No, I mean, you become even more aware, and the stronger that you feel with yourself, it's not even the strength of your body, but the more confident that you are with yourself, the stronger you feel with yourself, that you're able to like know.
Yeah.
And you start to recognize and pay a lot of attention to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for like somebody like me who suffers from body dysmorphia, it's kind of like being in constant contact with like your body and the dimensions of it and like how it moves and like how much space it takes. Like I feel like that's important to that healing process of just kind of like, oh, this is, I may not have like the vision of what it looks like as healthy as I would want it to, but I know that like, oh, like right now, like I can feel like the size of my belly, and I can feel like the width of my arm, and like you can feel you feel more embodied in yourself.
Right.
So it's just kind of like, oh, and you start to also like seeing your body's not just how it looks, it's how it like it feels, how it moves, how it just keeps you alive.
No, I mean seriously. And then when you think about it too, as far as like looking at health, right? If you see other people who are even smaller shape than you, and I'm like, why are you struggling? Aren't you supposed to be healthier than me? It lets you be kind of like, to me, it's being more mindful of just what is mine and what is somebody else's, right? Especially like with somebody's definition of what health is, without even knowing who you are, they're making assumptions. Oh, this is what you're doing.
Yeah.
This is why this is the way it is. You must be sad. You must be depressed.
Yeah, like it gives you a little bit more like compassion to yourself and to others. Like when you see people kind of like sometimes, like I remember clearly, I had like this, he was even a model back in high school. He was kind of like super tall, handsome, and like everybody liked them. He couldn't like, whenever we would do like PE and then like, okay, we're gonna touch our toes. He couldn't bend like even like a third of his body. Like you're just kind of like so weird about it, but then you're like, no, like everybody's body has like things.
Exactly.
Like you could be the most like socially acceptable body and still
you will have limitations.
Yeah.
Yes. No, there is. I mean, people will even sit there and say, "Oh, you're younger than me." That's the reason why. I was like, no. That's not the reason why, because I'll show you somebody way younger and look at their challenges.
Or somebody way older that is like,
and they're like they're sitting here doing deadlifts. I'm like, that's my new role model. Let your knees fall. There you go. Left arm overhead.
and then it just helps kind of like befriend your body a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like even treat it with a little more compassion, which is like, oh, I know you don't like that movement. Let me modify that for you.
Let me see where you can shine.
Give you what you need right now.
No, I mean, you know, when it comes down to it, you really should give yourself more of what you need to make you feel good. Doing the things that, like, I'm not a runner.
Oh, I'm not either at all.
I'm not a runner, but I can walk forever. And I love to hike. I'm not into, you know, jazzercise, but I am most definitely into heavy weightlifting.
Yeah.
Right? You know, I think that's the thing, is like finding what makes you happy.
Exactly.
Find what makes you happy. And if you're someone that don't like movement, you don't even have to move, but if you have like some kind of limitation, find out what you need to do. Right? So that way you could be a little bit better and you could be a little bit mobile in that, so that way it's not stopping you from going forward.
Yeah.
Right? It's not stopping you from going more. I think a lot of times too, we tend to feel as if we can't do something, so we don't do a lot of things.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't know until you actually put yourself there and you're like, oh my God, I could have done this.
Yeah. And you can do it gradually. It's not like,
yeah, it's not like you gotta go gung ho. It's not like you gotta do a marathon tomorrow. Well, you know, I wanted to run. I'm gonna do a marathon. Well, 5K. 5K.
I can't even do a 5K. It's like, and it's like, that's just like a regular walking. It's like you're just going out for a walk. You can do 5K like with no problem.
Hey, well, there you go. I didn't say 5K running. I'm just saying, you know, you can 5K by walk. Yeah, just to know what it's like when it's just walking it. Exhale, come back to the center. And then slowly from here, as you inhale, let your knees fall to one side. Exhale, let your knees fall to the other side. Come back to the center. Shavasana. Do you want your pillow underneath your knees, or are you good? Do you need your pillow?
I love my pillow.
I know, that's what I was like, do you want your pillow?
Like, I seen you. Then I'm just kind of like,
Do you want one for your head?
yes.
Yes.
And then like everybody's like, oh, the shavasana is the most important part of the practice.
It's the highly requested.
And like this is also like adapting to your body. It's just kind of like for me, I like to have something on my knees because of my knee injury, and also because like my body's big, and like if I have like I don't know, I feel like my hips are not really resting if I have like my legs all the way down.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yes.
So it's just kind of like, yes, that you can also adapt that to your body.
Yes. And that's why to me too, it's like when we do Shavasana, I'm always saying that like however you want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Take a deep breath in. And let it go. Let go of your toes, the balls of your feet, the arches, your heels, your ankles, your knees, your hips, your belly. 3 sighs. Inhale. Inhale. Inhale one more time. Let go of your chest, your throat, your shoulders, elbows, wrists, hands, and fingers. The back of your neck, the back of your head, the crown of your head, your forehead. Create space into your jaw. Put a smile on your lips. Take a deep breath in. This is your Shavasana. Wiggle your toes and your fingers. And then slowly roll completely to your right side. Reminding you of how strong you are. Push yourself up to seated. Palms of your hands face up on your knees. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. And let it go. Use this time to give thanks to anyone, to anything, especially to you. It's your third eye. The light within me honors and acknowledges the light within you. We bow and say, Namaste.
We did it! I survived!
See, that wasn't so bad.
It was fun. I'm like, I'm ready for a nap.
I know. I was like, ooh, should I wake her up now? She looks sound asleep.
I had a hard time sleeping yesterday, so I need to go back to sleep. Joy, thank you so much.
You are welcome. You are welcome.
Thank you not just for like accepting to be in my interview, but also for like I said, like it's finding you kind of like it was serendipitous, but at the same time was kind of like what I needed to just kind of like get over that hurdle of like viewing movement as a way to kind of like punish my body, or like as a way of like see what my body can do, and more like into a space where like what can I do for my body,
right?
So it was just kind of like it was very important in like my ongoing struggle with my body acceptance, and it's also kind of like I think it has helped in kind of like also like my spiritual awakeness.
Yes.
Just kind of like, okay, I'm more than my body. I'm like my breath. I'm like the relationships that I create. I'm like the spaces that I open for people. Like it just gives you a little bit more of an insight of just kind of like we are so focused on like just our bodies that we forget that we're a whole human being.
Yes. No, I think that's the thing is like we get so preoccupied of I need to fix this, I need to fix this, I need to fix this, and the crazy part is this isn't broken.
Yeah.
Right? This isn't broken, and for some odd reason we're believing the definition of how other people define us when they're not choosing to recognize. Look what you've done for yourself. Look what you've accomplished. Look what you got to explore and experience. People are just always dumping that on you, and then we get into this fixation of like, I need to fix this when there's nothing broken with this.
Yeah, and then it becomes this kind of like that excuse of this constant loop of like I'm fixing, I'm working on myself, I'm fixing this, I'm fixing that, instead of just kind of like existing.
Yeah,
just exist.
Yeah, just exist. I mean, I had a client. She is my favorite client, and it broke my heart that. I've been with her for like 15 years. She passed away at 94. And ever since I've known her, all it's been is just like, oh, I'm fat. And the crazy part was she wasn't. She's like, oh, I'm fat. Oh, I can't do this right. Like nothing. Everything was like fixated on things that she can't do. And I'm like, do you know who you are? Because the thing was, she was like this legendary tennis player. She was also, her and her husband were huge at dealing with racism in San Antonio, and was like one of the bigger ones that said, hey, take down the signs of like black and white only. Like they were able to open all of that, and they were well hated for that. And I'm like, look what you did.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there like, oh, I'm fat. Oh, I can't do this. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, you raised amazing kids. You made it to 94. Yes, we had to repair your garage because you drove into it, but we were there for you. That's when the kids took the keys away from like, Joy, you didn't She's an extraordinary woman. Let her hit that wall.
That wall is in her way.
She will never let anything stop her.
But yeah, because when we're like, I feel like when we're, it's kind of like a weird dynamic because when we're too focused on our bodies,
Yes,
we negate everything else that we are.
you really do. You just stop living. Yeah, you just stop living. I'm like, life is too short. It really is. Like I think about that for when I had the car accident. That car drove into my bedroom. Like think about that. I was sound asleep. You're just thinking, you're worried when you go out that door something can happen to you. It went straight into my bedroom. And all I could think of was, I'm not gonna hear my kid laugh again. And I wasn't even worried about not being able to walk. It was just, I'm not able to hear my kid laugh again. So it was like, and that was at, what was it, 34? So it was just kind of like, life is too short. And ever since then, me and my son, that has been our thing. Life is too short. I want to experience as much as we can before we die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And we'll continue this practice next week.
Next week.